Welcome to the Pitchsidepodcast channel. I am your host, the HOD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on this video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from these match recaps and all the other content on the channel, including our podcast, which you can listen to on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. Follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, Pitchsidepod on Instagram, and most importantly, as usual, subscribe to the YouTube channel and help us reach our 1K subscribers. And we're coming to you after the game between Chelsea and Atletico Madrid in the second leg of the UEFA Champions League round of 16, and it was pretty fast. It was pretty fast for Atletico at the very least. This was a game, I think, perfectly managed by Thomas Tuchel. Straight out the gate, the first 5 minutes or so give you the impression that Atletico Madrid are going to go, against their own traditions pretty much. They played a little bit high, they tried to press Chelsea in their own defence, tried to intercept the ball pretty high up the pitch, tried to create danger from that point on, but definitely didn't look like creating those kind of opportunities in the early goings. Then Chelsea took the tempo up, they sped up the game. They always try to create situations on the flanks in particular where they have 2-on-1 situations, 3-on-1 situations, 3-on-2 maybe situation. It didn't matter, but the most important thing is that they needed to have that sort of numerical superiority against the wing-backs and the full-backs of Atletico Madrid in any kind of situation. That's what they tried to do. Reece James and Hakim Ziyech on the right, as well as Kante supporting them. Kovacic with Alonso and Havertz on the left, with Timo Werner also dropping in there. So that created a lot of stretching, a lot of movement. It was pretty dynamic kind of way from Chelsea to play, with Kovacic and Kante in particular running all sorts of spaces, Ziyech and Havertz exchanging and swapping positions and moving a lot on the ball and off the ball, which really exhausted Atletico Madrid and stretched them out so much. And it was, I think, a matter of time really before they got the goal, after having a couple of dangerous attempts on target as well, a couple of occasions where they played crosses into the box and they weren't successful. But on a typical, I think, on a really not typical, let's say, and unlike Atletico Madrid kind of mistake, they get caught on a set piece, they are exposed, they are so high up the pitch that it is a big race for them to come back and try and track back their mistakes, as Kai Havertz sets up Timo Werner, takes on the defenders of Atletico with his speed and pace, of course, and sets up Hakim Ziyech running in free space for the goal scoring opportunity. He scores in the 34th minute. Jan Oblak honestly could have done better in the goal maybe, but I don't want to blame him a lot. I think the defense takes 70 to 80% of the responsibility of the goal, to be fair. 1-0 for Chelsea, and they only up the tempo from there. They could have ended the first half on a couple of goals ready for them, but the finishing, the last decision making inside the box was the thing that was lacking in that first half. Atletico looked pretty exhausted. Even their substitutions in the second half were pretty useless really. Suarez looked out of it. Marcos Llorente was pretty sidelined and neutralized in this game for the first half. He couldn't really run a lot. Only Joao Felix, I think, was trying to create opportunities, trying to be effective on target for Atletico Madrid. In the second half, Chelsea started even stronger than the first half for the first 15-20 minutes, and after that they gave Atletico Madrid the chance. And because Atletico were exhausted from running behind the ball, from being all sorts of stretched out behind the Chelsea attackers, they couldn't really make a lot of effort on goal, and they couldn't create a lot of danger, which helped Chelsea a lot, who capitalized on a couple of occasions. They could have caught Atletico off guard, and they could have scored a couple of goals themselves, catching Atletico really high after Atletico pretty much let off their guard from the first leg and from the first half of the second leg, pretty much, to try and attack and look for that equalizer. Musa Mbele was on, Correa was on, also who else? Hermoso was introduced as well. There was a lot of changes. Thomas Lemar was introduced as well, trying to create that dynamic themselves, but they couldn't against a very stellar Chelsea side, strong defensively, and closing down spaces really well. Only a few fleeting opportunities for Atletico Madrid where they could have gotten behind the defenders and tried to have a couple of shots on target, but Edouard Mendy was there with a couple of saves to deny them the opportunity. Later on in the game, in the 82nd minute, Stefan Savic gets sent off for, I think, a stupid mistake really from him. An errant elbow in the chest of Antonio Rudiger, gets him sent off. Atletico Madrid finished the game with 10 men, and you know what's coming next. Chelsea commit forward and, try and score the second in a couple of opportunities. They couldn't do that, and again, Atletico being caught high, untypical mistake from them. They get caught, and the second goal is there from a substitute very late in the game in Emerson Palmieri. 2-0 for Chelsea. Game set and match. Game wrapped up. That was too quick for Atletico Madrid. They couldn't do a lot of things to try and counter Chelsea in this game. Again, Thomas Tuchel perfectly managing the game, getting what he needed. A clean sheet against Atletico. A perfectly defensive game from Chelsea, as well as very dynamic going forward. They did the business that they needed to do in the first half an hour to an hour pretty much in the game, and then they left Atletico Madrid at it. And we all know that Atletico Madrid do not know what to do with possession. Also, Atletico lost the ball a lot in the game, so they were pretty untidy, and they couldn't really muster any kind of rhythm or flow for most of the game. A deserved victory for Chelsea against Atletico Madrid, and they joined Bayern Munich, of course, who defeated Lazio in the other game 2-1, and we're going to be back to that in the podcast tomorrow. That's it for me for this match recap. Always aboard the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these match recaps and all the content on the channel, including our podcast, and of course follow us on social media site BSB on Twitter, Pitchsidepod on Instagram. Listen to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform, and until next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.